There are many things we carry within Sisel, but tonight we're going to specialize in our Fit and Fabulous weight loss system. But let's look at how the other programs are that are in the marketplace, and really they don't work. The major ingredient they have in meal replacement is based on soy. And soy can really do some damage. They can create metabolic syndrome. They can certainly damage your health. There's a lot of effects with the soy because it can really create a lot of health hazards in your body. I'll tell you, if you consume soy, you create a product within your body called phytic acid. And phytic acid is really hard on the body because it makes it so difficult to absorb nutrients, particularly minerals and vitamins and things like that. And so you can have quite a bit of health damage from doing it. Also in soy there are estrogen mimics. In other words, they're phytoestrogens, plant-based estrogens, and they act like estrogen. Well, estrogen is what is it designed for? One of the things is for reproduction, to build a baby, to store fat, to make it so that you have a reserve so that when you bear a child that you'll have all these fat reserves to fuel the growth of that child. But if you're Of course, if you're not, then what's going to happen? You're just going to store that fat. So phytoestrogens help to encourage the body to want to store fat. And as you look at many of these meal replacement weight loss products that are on the marketplace, they're soy-based. You can look at the ingredients, and if soy is in the first 3 or 4 that are listed, you have to list them in order of concentration. It means it's got a high level of soy in it. Isoflavones are significantly linked to some of the serious issues that women have with thought to be like leukemia, breast cancer, endometrial cancer, and those types of things. Soy also has a lot of contaminants in it. It's one of the most heavily contaminated products that's in the world today. The crops are so attacked by weeds and parasites and insects and all of those things that they put tremendous amounts of chemicals on the soy crop so that they can maximize the output from it. So what we've done is we have said, well, number one, we're not going to use soy. We don't want all of those negative aspects that soy has with all of the pesticides. The pesticides and the herbicides that they spray on it, you think it stays on it or you think it goes in it, because they want it to get into it so that if any insect tries to eat into it, it'll be poisoned and killed. So when it's processed with it, those are within the soy protein itself. Of course, scientists know that whey protein has got a lot of biological power. And of course that comes from milk. You take a skim milk, if you will, where a lot of the milk fat is removed, and then they heat it to a super temperature, and then they dry it out and make it into a powder. Well, in the process of doing that, the biologically active components that whey has that soy does not have for burning fat and for building bone and lean and muscle are degenerated. It's called denatured. They're broken down just like cooking vegetables can destroy the vitamin content in the vegetables if you cook them too long. So as you can see on the screen right here, we have looked at it and have developed a system, or it's not our system, but a company that we work with has developed this system to take the purified proteins and peptides and polypeptides and even things like what they call micellar, these are pretty chemical names, but micellar calcium bonded caseinates out. And this is the way that it works. As we say, the soy is very heavily chemically contaminated. So is whey. Quite frankly, milk is nature's most nearly perfect food. It has over 1,000 different types of compounds within it. And so there are a lot of really great things in milk. The problem is there's a lot of things that aren't so good either. So looking at it, we've isolated what we believe, according to science, is the worst of these ingredients, the bad ones, and have used a system to separate and filtrate them out through a microfiltration process. And this instrument that you're looking at in the middle of it is a microfiltration system. And so what happens is in milk you have a number of things. You have herbicides, you have pesticides. Why? Because if they're feeding them on pasture or feeding hay, alfalfa that's grown, they have to spray it to keep the weevil from eating it. And so they spray insecticides all over it. They spray ingredients that will kill the weeds and those types of things. And it's done a number of times a year. So what do you think happens to the hay? Of course, it goes into it. And then they feed cows silage in the winter, and that's made from corn. And they give them cereal grains to eat when they're being milked so they can increase their output. And, of course, corn, as you know, is heavily sprayed because there's all kinds of worms, caterpillars that feed on corn, and they get right in and eat the kernel to themselves. So they heavily spray it a number of times a year, and that goes right into the corn. They also sterilize the ground, and that's the right word, sterilize it. They use a compound called atrazine, and nothing grows except corn because it kills everything in the soil. Well, do you think the corn is taking that up into the plant? Of course it is, as it's growing, and so you have that plant sterile that's there. So you have herbicides and pesticides. The other thing that it contains is lactose. And a lot of people are lactose intolerant. But what does lactose intolerance do? Well, it affects metabolic syndrome. It makes you want to store fat. It causes inflammation, and so do pesticides and herbicides. And even within the intestinal tract itself, so that you don't want to absorb nutrients and you want to hold large amounts of water. It's like a sprained ankle. What happens when you sprain your ankle? It swells up. Sure, you have an inflammatory response to that, and it wants to protect it so it holds all the water in to cushion it. That same inflammation happens within the lining of your intestinal tract. You don't want to absorb as many nutrients, and it happens throughout the whole body. So these ingredients can contribute to it. Also, cows have a lot of antibiotics in it. They're always getting an infection in the udder, in the bag of the cow, and it's because of the fact that cows are laying around in the dirt. They lay in the barn, there's manure there, all those kinds of things, and the udder gets infected. It happens with all cows, and that happens a number of times a year. So as a consequence, if you have a cow with an infected udder, what you need to do is to kill it with antibiotics, or it can become so bad it can even kill the cow itself. So cattle are regularly given, milk cows are given antibiotics. Milk cows are not healthy either. So in order to get more milk, because farmers are paid on poundage, what they do is they hit them with hormones that make them produce more milk. So what happens to those hormones? What happens to those antibiotics? They go right into the milk itself. And so then it's processed. And you've heard of pasteurization, of course, with milk. They heat it up to quite a high temperature. And in doing so, they denature it. They break it down. And so you do that, you have sterilized milk. And I do mean sterilized. What it is the biologically active ingredients, those that really stimulated the calf or the pig or horse or whatever else it is on milk, or even a baby, to really grow, they're just destroyed. They're denatured. They're degenerated, degraded into just a clump of meaningless proteins. But the stimulatory value of them is gone. It occurs in nature. It's there. These proteins, these protein isolates, these fine refined proteins, the peptides, the polypeptides that are so active are just denatured, destroyed. So they're not there. So in meal replacement, they'll use whey, of course. But that whey is heated way up, perhaps 300, 350 degrees. It disintegrates all of the actives. And then it's dried and spray dried at temperature. So you have whey protein. You could have isolates in it where they take out more things, but it's ineffective protein other than just as general nutrition. But the companies come back and say, well, whey protein is very good for building muscle. Yes, it is. If you want to work out a lot, you really can. And you need protein if you're exercising. But how many of us are going to want to lose weight and really increase our exercise? Some, but a lot of us not, because our lifestyles won't allow it, or we're not of the disposition to do it. So here's what happens. We run our product through that, and it's layers of porous layers, and as the milk goes through it, then it will start sloughing off the molecules, as you can see here, and those molecules slough off, and they're carried off, and then it goes to the next level. This is actually like the filtration is like a roll of toilet paper, if you can think of it that way, winding after winding after winding, and each one of them with smaller and smaller pores to get through. And the milk, we don't heat ours. It's 105 degrees, so the good enzymes that are in milk are also there. And so we push it through under pressure. So the materials start separating off at different stages. So you can separate off if you know what the stages are. And of course, scientists are skilled enough to know that. Lactose goes off, milk fat goes off, herbicides, pesticides, antibiotics, hormones, and then at certain levels you get real specific proteins. And they're small, they're highly refined, they're very pure. You get the peptides and the polypeptides, which are even smaller. And so they come out, and then as you see the two products on the right and the left, you get these pure serum proteins in the bottle on the right. Now it's just a ball illustration so you can see it. On the other side, you have these calcium caseinates that are there. And they're both loaded with proteins, but of different types. The calcium caseinates on the left also have a large complement of minerals within them. And then the waste goes out. So it throws off the waste, saves these pure serum proteins and these highly refined calcium caseinates. So when they go in the body, they have two effects. The whey proteins support a really significant increase in fat burning, and they support muscle building and tissue regeneration and building, and they provide that powerful support that the body has the ability to do if they're present, whereas a regular whey protein that is just cooked up and destroyed won't do that. So they do. And so for about 2 hours with these serum proteins, like on the right, you'll get a significant support for increasing fat burning, and at the same time, you don't lower your basic metabolic rate. It's kept up high. And you're building, the goal of it is to build muscle, lean tissue, organs, all of those things. And so it's doing that. So your BMI is going up in lean, and then it has to call on fat stores to burn to support this activity that is going on in building lean body mass. And so that's powerful. Then the calcium caseinates come along, and they do a whole other series of things. What they do is they actually are very slow digesting, and they will bulk up. And so if you use our Sisel product and you'll let it thicken up for maybe 5 minutes, you'll notice it'll thicken up a lot because it unfolds just like an umbrella does. It's narrow, and as you get it, it just starts to unfold. And as that happens, boy, you feel full. And it takes about 6 hours to move through the system. In the same time, it is loading with proteins and peptides and polypeptides and the whole complement of minerals that is so important for building bone, teeth. All of those functions are there, and they're in the right forms that the body can use. Most calcium supplements are not very usable, and they got a lot of lead. This doesn't, because it's so purified. And so you get a slow burn. You get a fast burn with the serum proteins, and then you get a slow burn with the caseinates as they move through the system. And you feel full for a long time because you have that bulking. But in addition to that, they also are satisfying the receptors that tell you that you are full. And the receptors that are when there is nothing in the stomach, they start sending signals out. It's called ghrelin, a hormone, that tells you you're hungry. Well, it attaches and hangs on to those. So it's not telling you you're hungry, and it's telling you you're full, and you have the fullness in your stomach, and so that burn that has been triggered by the serum proteins just keeps burning and burning and burning. And so as a consequence, you're going to, this is our theory, and this based on the science of these ingredients, you're going to build muscle mass and you're going to burn fat. So let's look at the next slide, and you'll see on it just how dramatic it can be versus these other products. Let's say that 2 people lost 20 pounds of fat, or it could be you on one program and another. If you have the standard formulation that's out that's either based on soy or soy and whey concentrates, we theorize, based upon the research that we found, that of that 20 pounds you would lose, about 5 pounds of it would be lean, and about 15 pounds would be fat, therefore you've lost about 20 pounds. That's not very healthy. And because soy in particularly is effective on creating a loss of lean and in keeping nutrients up, we believe that for 20 pounds of weight, you'll have lost 5 pounds of lean, 15 pounds of fat. On the other hand, just the opposite reaction is going on because of these purified serum proteins and the caseinates in this theory of cause and effect. So with the formulation that we use, we have theoretically designed this, and we believe that it will accomplish it. We're going to be conducting some studies to show about where we're at on a number of people, but here's what we believe will happen with it. Because it is supporting the body to increase lean, you'll probably gain 5 pounds. And because that demands to burn fat, you're not losing fat just because of low calorie as you would with the soy and the whey. You're actually having the demand to burn fat. You could lose 25 pounds of fat. So your net weight loss is 20 pounds, and the reason why, but 25 pounds is fat. And the difference is because the lean weighs more than fat. So you increase 5 pounds of lean building, you lose 25 pounds, so the total is 20 pounds, but 25 pounds of that is fat, and you also have more lean. So look at the significant difference between this theory of Formula 1 and Formula 2. You'd have 10 pounds more of lean mass with our formula in Formula 2 under this, and you'd have 10 pounds greater fat loss. I mean, that's pretty significant, don't you think? So which program do you think is healthy or unhealthy? And the other formula would load your body with all kinds of antibiotics, estrogen mimics, hormones, herbicides, pesticides, lactose, and where do you think your basic metabolic rate's going to go? Down, 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 down. Where's ours going to go? Up, 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 up. What a significant difference between the two. So that's the theory that we have used based upon the science that's been discovered to make our products. Milk is actually really loaded with a lot of ingredients. What we do is we just slough off the ones that are no good, and we save the ones that are so precious and so important. So you can see this is a spectacular way. And I actually believe with this, because we don't contribute to metabolic syndrome, you're going to have a significant impact on type 2 diabetes, which is normally triggered because of metabolic syndrome and a lot of fat accumulation and loss of lean. We think we're going to support the body to go just the other way with it. There's some dramatic differences between this product and the other. And here's the stats. Soy and whey protein-based meal replacements put you in a starvation mode. You have the metabolic syndrome, the dark side of soy. It does so many things, as you can see, that are listed there that we talked about. The soy lowers the body mass index, the basic metabolic rate, blocks digestive enzymes, inhibits the absorption of nutrients and minerals, and all of the other things, isoflavones, leukemia, breast cancer, and they contribute to learning disorders, ADD, dyslexia, skin conditions, respiratory issues, decreased pulse. Your hair is going to grow slower, we think, with it. Whey protein meal replacements also have their dark side too. All of the things that we've been talking about, toxins, water, in the crops, pastures, insecticides, and then they're processed at high temperatures, so the very beneficial things are just destroyed. They lose their biological activity. You have some nutritional value, Sure, the pus is all killed and all that, still there. Think that's of nutritional value? So we don't believe in that that way, but it's cheap. That's why people use, and soy is super cheap. That's why they use soy and the whey, where ours are very expensive. But because we manufacture, we can take these expensive ones and make a better product. We have a rapid weight loss meal replacement program with it, with all of these ingredients, and these are the very things that we've been talking about and what it does. So it's your choice. You can lose weight or not lose weight depending on the product that you choose. You can have healthy weight loss or you can have unhealthy weight loss depending on the product that you choose. The Food and Drug Administration says that if you're going to make a weight loss claim, you have to decrease calories and or increase exercise. If you do that, you can make a weight loss claim. And then you have to say it supports weight loss. Okay, so we're going to ask you to cut back on calories, and we're going to recommend that you increase exercise. But we're going to give you massive support that is unparalleled ever before in the industry to help you to get rid of fat, to burn fat, and to do it in a healthy way. And in the industry, it says about 2 pounds a week is pretty good weight loss. In fact, is 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. We think that's all right, but we believe you can do 2 to 5 quite easily, especially at first. And then you can keep that weight off because you're not going to be damaging your biology as with other products. And these other companies will never tell you about these kinds of things. The negative properties are in their products, so the potential. And these positive ones, they might try and allude to it, but in reality, the way they process it, they're not there. Sisel, we believe you can become a fat-burning, fat-shredding, fat-binding machine. It does all of those, or supports all of those things. You can feel full for 4 to 6 hours, curb your hunger, energize your entire body with this formula. And we think 2 to 5 pounds of weight loss a week is a real possibility at first. But when you start getting down, you're going to lose, but it's not going to be at the ratio at first. We have a product to go with it called Accelerator Capsules. You can take those and it supports speeding up your fat burning, your metabolism, by about equal to an hour's worth of exercise. And we have another product with it, and it's called Slender Pops. Sizzling is a meal replacement. Slender Pops is the snack replacement. It is very different than anything else. It's a lollipop, but it has no sugars in it, no fructose. And so it satisfies your hunger and triggers a diuretic release of fat cells and binds fat in the stomach. It really works. So it's a snack replacement. And then we're bringing out a product come out that's called Breakthrough. It's a high energy drink, but you don't get buzzed out. We're using technology from all around the world. Literally the technology that makes a grasshopper hop so far is really an amino acid that we have been able to find and isolate, and one that greatly increases stamina. And then we have an ingredient from down in the Amazon that increases oxygenation rate and cell turnover rate. And so you'll come up, but unlike some of these wild caffeine kickers that are like 500 milligrams of calcium, take you up and then drop you, this just brings you up and it just keeps recycling and recycling, and you feel good all day long. And we have Recurve, so if you got some love handles, turkey gobblers, little cellulite here, there, or everywhere, this is the product to greatly improve it. I developed the original thigh cream. That's never going to work, but this thing is far more advanced than what that is. That was 15, 20 years ago, and this is the most advanced formula. I became famous for the other one. I'm not going to become famous for this one, but it's certainly 3 times the formula the other one was. We're going to have a 90-day Ultimate Body Sculpting Challenge. This is going to start next month, and we'll have prizes and awards and recognition. We're going to have trips, cash prizes, all kinds of glamour gifts, everything, and we're going to pick a number of winners every 3 months. So you get in the challenge, you submit your photos, we'll grade them, we'll have the distributors vote on them, we're going to have big social support teams, and this is going to be fun, and you're going to watch the pounds just drop off. So now we're giving you a way to take back your life with health, with weight loss, and we're going to have a program if you get 3 customers, to buy the weight loss products, you'll get yours for free.